Good morning. I'm in Wiltshire today, specifically in a designated area of outstanding natural beauty called the North Wessex Downs. I'm just outside a village called Alton Barnes, and behind me is the Alton Barnes White Horse, which you might just be able to see through the mist. Well, it's starting off very murky and drizzly at the moment, so I'm hoping that this mist might burn off, but I'm still going to enjoy my day here in the North Wessex Downs. The North Wessex Downs, designated an area of outstanding natural beauty in 1972, are located in the counties of West Berkshire, Hampshire, Oxfordshire and Wiltshire. The area covers some 670 square miles and is perhaps better known by various overlapping local names, which include the Berkshire Downs, the North Hampshire Downs, the White Horse Hills, the Aldbourne Downs, Savernake Forest, the Vale of Pewsey and the Marlborough Downs. From the Alton Barnes to Lockeridge Road, I took a path which headed towards Milk Hill, one of the highest points of the North Wessex Downs. Well, I just wanted a closer look at that. The Alton Barnes White Horse lies on the slopes of Milk Hill, the highest point in Wiltshire at 968 feet. Overlooking the Vale of Pewsey, the horse was created for Robert Pyle of Manor Farm in Alton Barnes, who in 1812 paid John Thorne, known as Jack the Painter, to design and cut the horse. Well, I just wanted a closer look at Alton Barnes White Horse, but the drizzle's starting to come down a bit heavier now, so I think it's back to the car and move on to the next place. So I'm now in the lovely town of Marlborough. The Wiltshire market town of Marlborough is situated on the A4, the old main road from London to Bath. I decided to start my tour of Marlborough from St Peter's Church at the west end of the High Street. There has been a church on the site since the 11th century, and a few traces of that building remain. The present church was built in the 15th century, and the interior was extensively altered in the 19th century. Although made redundant in 1974, the church continues to operate as a community centre with a thriving coffee shop and craft shop. The church is run by a trust founded in 1978 and can be hired for use for lectures, concerts and exhibitions. I walked along Marlborough's High Street, which is lined on both sides with characterful old buildings, including the Merchant's House, one of the finest 17th century middle-class homes open to the public. There is also a great range of high-quality shops, from the big-name chains to an extensive choice of independent shops. The site of a twice-weekly market, the High Street is well known for being one of the widest in the UK. The annual International Jazz Festival takes place over one weekend every July at venues around the town, and is a popular event for both local residents and visitors. The traditional mop fairs held in October always brings in the crowds. Another draw is the annual Marlborough Literature Festival, an increasingly important event with something interesting for all ages, and the Marlborough College Summer School, which draws lots of people to the town. Another popular annual event is the Marlborough Open Studios, usually held over several weekends in July, where local artists open up their studios, both in Marlborough and the neighbouring areas. Upon reaching St Mary's Church, I was at the east end of the High Street, where I ended my tour of Marlborough. Right, I've had a look around the lovely Marlborough. Where to now, I wonder? From Marlborough, I travelled about 6 miles north-east across the North Wessex Downs. Reaching a village, I parked my car, but before exploring it, I decided to follow a green lane, which led northwest from the village, heading to something which I knew was of historical interest. A little south of Sugar Hill lie Aldbourne 4 Barrows, which date from 2500 to 1500 BC. This collection of 4 linear barrows is very well preserved, with their interconnected ditches and berms intact. The contents of these barrows are now in the British Museum. 3 of the 4 barrows are of the Wessex bell type, which are 8 to 10 feet high. The 4th is an ordinary bowl-shaped mound, also 10 feet high. They were excavated by W. Greenwell near the end of the 19th century. 2 of the bell barrows contained cremations and the 3rd a skeleton. Other finds included amber, beads, flint arrowheads, fragments of greenstone axe and a grooved dagger. The bowl barrow had a cremation in a burial cist covered with 4 sarsen stones. seem rather familiar. I think they might have been in a TV programme once. A long time ago. Well, there's a village nearby. Perhaps if I walk there, that might give me a clue. I retraced my steps along the green lane and made my way towards the village where I had parked my car. Soon I was in the village of Aldbourne. As I started to look around, the first things I noticed were a couple of very interesting litter bins, so I walked over for a closer look. From the square, I walked up to the pretty village green, bordered by picturesque cottages and overlooked by St Michael's Church. Many activities take place on the green, including the Easter Egg Extravaganza, the Feast, Fete, beer festivals, annual carnival and band concerts. Aldbourne is the epitome of the picture postcard village, and for me, ranks as another favourite village I have ever visited. Well, if like me you're a fan of Doctor Who, you'll know that Aldbourne is probably the most famous location ever used in a Doctor Who serial. Way back in 1971, Aldbourne was the setting for the village called Devil's End in a serial called The Demons, one of the Doctor Who classics. It starred Jon Pertwee, and Jon Pertwee and the cast came here all those years ago to film that classic serial. Aldbourne has two pubs, which includes the Blue Boar, a fabulous traditional pub serving real ales and home-cooked food from its stunning location here on the green. The pub was also a major location when Doctor Who was filmed here all those years ago. But in The Demons it was known as the Cloven Hoof, and there is even a Cloven Hoof sign still outside the pub. Filming for the serial caused great excitement in Aldbourne, with a lot of the village residents appearing as extras, as well as the Headington Quarry Morris dancers, who performed a routine in the final episode of The Demons. Aldbourne has a heritage centre, a museum run by the Aldbourne Community Heritage Group. It exhibits a changing array of artefacts and displays from Aldbourne's history, ranging from Stone Age flints through copies of medieval documents to an extensive collection of 19th and 20th century photographs. The village has a sports and social club run by volunteers, as well as a co-op supermarket and a village shop, which houses a post office and a cafe. Aldbourne has had a village library since the 1930s, which has been in its present location on South Street for nearly 30 years. The village has a primary school, St Michael's C of E School, built in 1963 on the site of a national school which opened in 1858. Overlooking the village green is St Michael's Church, a medieval and Grade 1 listed building. The nave and aisles were built around 1200, although some earlier Norman arches and other traces remain. There are 4 arches on the north arcade and 3 on the south. The chancel is early English, with north and south chapels, and a sanctuary with lancet windows. In Doctor Who and the Demons, the serial ended with the village church being destroyed. This was achieved with some very effective model work for that time. In fact, it looked so realistic that some viewers complained to the BBC about destroying such a lovely church for the sake of a TV programme. Well, that's the end of my day in the North Wessex Downs. I'm probably finishing here in Aldbourne. It's been the highlight for me. And going back to the Doctor Who serial that was filmed here in 1971, The Demons, I think the story ended with maypole dancers on the green here, and there were 2 characters watching, called Captain Yates and the Brigadier. And Captain Yates says to the Brigadier, "Fancy a dance, Brigadier?" To which the Brigadier replies, "That's very kind of you, Captain Yates. I'd rather have a pint." I like that idea, Brigadier. I think I'll do the same. I always did like the Brigadier.